most affordable option is staying on in the local islands. And this has now been opened for tourism since 2011. Previously, tourists weren't allowed to stay on the local islands, but they've opened it up for tourism. And what's happened is, a huge number of guest houses have opened up. Funnily enough, a lot of these guest houses have been set up by members of staff that used to work at kind of luxury 5-star resorts. So they brought a lot of their sort of learning and attention to detail to their guest houses. So sometimes the term guest house can be a little bit unfair. I actually know a lot of our guest house partners. We know the manager from when I worked with them at Four Seasons or so on. The great thing about local islands is they give you, a bit more of a Maldivian cultural experience and get to kind of interact a lot more with Maldivians, which is always great fun. They have a huge passion for life and for the oceans, which is great. The accommodation is more affordable. The cost of diving is more affordable. The only potential challenge is, although you do get sort of unlimited reef access, it very much depends on the location of that island. If it's a sort of outer edge islands, on the edges of the atolls I've mentioned, there might not be that much access. When you stay on an island as well, you're limited in the catchment area of dive sites that you can visit. Generally, boats are not really going to travel more than an hour and a half to get to a dive site. So you are going to be slightly limited in comparison to a liveaboard. And then the other kind of big considerations is the cultural one. As the Maldives is a Muslim country, they do not allow alcohol on local islands. So there's no sort of post-dive beer or sunset cocktail to be had. Also, it's very important to be considerate of the religion and sort of keep yourself fairly covered in sarongs when you are walking around the island. But they are aware that people want to be able to come and tan and sunbathe. So they generally set up particular areas on each island they call bikini beaches, where tourists are free to sort of relax and sunbathe more freely. But when walking around within the interior of the islands, it's always good to sort of be covered up and considerate. And then in terms of price point, guest houses normally start from about range from about $80 to $150 per night. The next level up is obviously the luxury resort islands that the Maldives is famous for. It goes from lovely and comfortable all the way up to extreme ultimate luxury. Obviously, there's the famous sort of overwater villas that are really iconic and people love to book at. And then resorts just make life easy with all-inclusive meal plans. And a lot of them, they've got all the additional facilities such as spa, water sports, gym, and so on. These are great for kids and families. Obviously, you're a little bit free to be running around in board shorts and bikinis all the time, not being on a local island. And then you'll have unlimited house reef access throughout. Again, as you are on an island, you're going to have that limited dive site catchment area because the boats can only go so far. And then the final downside of the resort islands, which is particularly my one, is they're very, very bad at being transparent about their pricing. If you are kind of looking on their websites directly or even via the likes of booking.com, they often hide very secretly the additional costs of the seaplane transfers or the domestic flight transfers to get to them. And suddenly you, on arrival at the resort, will be surprised by a 500 plus bill per person to be taking the seaplane and so on. So that's a real bugbear for me. At ZuBlu, we try and make sure we're extremely transparent about our pricing and make sure everything is included and you're not going to get any shocks when you do arrive at your resort. So something to be very aware of. In terms of the pricing, obviously it ranges dramatically from more affordable options at around $200 per night all the way up to the 25,000 plus per night in the sort of super 6-7 star luxury resorts. For divers, in my opinion, liveaboards are the best option. The liveaboards throughout the year will be running a variety of itineraries that are the best itinerary to do at that time of year. So you're always going to get a great array of diving. You're going to be traveling around a number of atolls and visiting the best dive sites in each atoll. So you don't have any limitation in terms of that catchment. Within the price, it will always have, your accommodation in your cabin included, meals, the diving as well. So when you start comparing a liveaboard to a resort island and adding things up at the resort island, liveaboards are always great value, in my opinion. Obviously, other guests are on the boat, and they're generally all divers as well. So there's a really nice social atmosphere. The potential downsides, you don't get as much beach time or kind of experiences of island life. Some liveaboards will sort of moor up near an island for the afternoon and allow you to kind of go on and sunbathe if you decide to skip the afternoon dives. But generally, you don't get that much beach time access. There also aren't that many luxury options. We've got a couple that are fantastic, but a lot of the liveaboards are very much focused on just providing good comfort and giving you excellent diving, which is probably the right way to go about it. And then they're not really suitable for children or families. There's not much for children to do on boats, and generally it's sort of better to be looking at resort options if you do have a young family that you're traveling with. And then price-wise, it's ranging from 1,200 per week up to 5,000 for the more luxury options. A couple of other quick considerations about how you can kind of experience the Maldives. There are a number of charter yachts that we partner with. They're very similar to liveaboards, but you hire them out sort of privately as a group. The great thing about this is it can be highly personalized and customized to your wishes. So great for families and children as well. So if some of the family want to go off diving, they can go do that. Others can go off snorkeling. If you want to have a day just relaxing near an island with a great beach, you can do that. So it's all very, very personalized. The only potential downside is the price can be a little bit higher, but once you consider the group as a whole on a per person basis, it's not necessarily too bad. And last but not least are what we call our eco ventures. So we work with a number of conservation organizations that offer sort of research, sort of experiential trips or impact focused trips where you can go along, join a conservation organization and supporting them in doing their work. A lot of that is particularly focused around whale sharks and manta rays. These are great things to do and things we love to promote. Price wise, it can sort of vary around sort of $2,000 per trip. But, reach out to us if you're interested to learn more about those. Generally, I think it's a very nice thing to do is kind of go do a week of that and then maybe combine that with, a week at a resort and have a bit more of a relaxing luxury time as well. But yeah, we're really proud of the organizations we work with and are keen to kind of keep promoting them.